And just like that, we're live. Hello, good evening, and welcome. Who was it who used to say that? Hello, good evening, and welcome. I can't remember. Famous newscaster? No. Anyway, irrelevant. Yes. Sorry, who was it?
Trevor McDonald.
Trevor McDonald. Oh, right. Trevor McDonald. Lenny Henry used to do him, didn't he?
That's it. That's where you've got it from.
Yeah. yeah, that's probably it. I can see Gil and Josh looking in bewilderment. Do you know Lenny Henry? Do you know Lenny Henry? No.
No, don't know who he is.
He's a famous comedian over here from, it would be the 80s and 90s. He's still about, 80s and 90s, and he used to do portrayals of, do you know Trevor McDonald, the famous news presenter?
Nope.
No. Yeah, tough crowd. All right. Anyway. Yes, another episode of Spruecast now. Then, unfortunately, it looks as though there's been some form of miscommunication, but Jeff has not responded to the emails that were sent. Now, this is obviously just we've had this happen once before. It's a let me just put myself on camera there so people can see. It's just last time I think it was a misunderstanding of the time. So Jeff, if you're watching, I have sent you an email. In that email is the link. If you can get to it fairly sharpish, we can still go ahead with this. But failing that, we'll just reschedule for another week. I can only apologise to everyone because I sent links out asking people, if they've got any questions they wanted to ask. And they went around everywhere, but unfortunately, it doesn't look as though Jeff is going to make it on. But we'll rearrange that. Don't worry, we've got loads of stuff we can talk about. Another thing I wanted to broach, last week we went off air all of a sudden. And some of the people that are not on YouTube, on YouTube but not on Facebook, might be at a loss as to what happened. We basically got reported for some sort of infringement on YouTube, and the show was cut off halfway through. I did appeal the following morning, and to give you an idea of how silly this was, YouTube reinstated the video within 30 minutes of me appealing. I gave them some other information and that as well, but that's why we went off air suddenly last week. And apologies for that. But out of our hands, we couldn't do anything about it. Did anyone else want to add anything on that?
No, it's just somebody tagged it, didn't like what they saw, for whatever reason, and YouTube being YouTube, they stopped the stream. But it is what it is. It's just part of what we have, what we do when we do podcasts and blogcasts. People will get offended by just about anything. So
yeah,
that's all I got to say about it.
Anyone else? Is that it?
Just one of them things, isn't it?
Yeah. Anyway, we move onward and upward. Not going to let it get us down. Let's have a look at what we've been on with this week. I'm going to go first for a change because I always put everyone else first, and then I haven't got a great deal, but as always, I'm going to bring the screen down and I'm going to open the screen up for me. And I have basically, I know it doesn't look like I've made much advance on this because I've been busy with other stuff, but I'm just trying to think what I've actually done. So I've repaired all of the paintwork. It's not shiny at the moment because it's in repair stage. And this is probably a bit of a tip, actually. I think what had happened here was I drink cans of fizzy pop, cream soda, or whatever. Should point out they're all low sugar before people start saying about my diabetes. And I tend to pop the can and pour it out. And I don't know if you've put your hand next to a glass when you've poured a fizzy drink, but you feel all the speckles on the back of your hand. And I think what had happened was I just painted the black on a lot of the car, and I use a car automotive black on this that I spray. And I think basically little drop, pop had speckled all over it, and it left a horrible finish. So that's what I think had happened. Not certain, but that's just my opinion on that. So I had to repair it, or had to sand it down a little bit, and then go over with some black again. And now it needs sealing. So I done that. I put the back on and got some of the chrome strips on. And I got a lot of the detail work painted on the doors. So the chrome fittings on the doors, the window wiper, not window wiper, the window handle winder. All these little details have been the what you would call the hood, I believe, in America. The hood, so we call it the bonnet. Wheels, rims, all these little bits. I've spent the week doing those, and also, doing research on resin because I'm desperately trying to learn CAD. I've got to get a book on CAD, and I've subscribed to another year to Fusion 360. And I finally managed to buy some clear resin. I've never used it before, but I got some of that ready. And I finally dealt with the roof. I don't know if you remember, but the roof is meant to be canvas. And I showed you on previous weeks that it had a horrible, awful canvas-like look to it, which I was not happy with at all. And I was struggling to find, to get rid of it. And in the end, I took a power tool to it. I used sort of this and went over the top. And that has got rid of that. I then went over with a Norton fine block sander, sponge sander, and just basically backwards and forwards with that. And then I went down to it's a Tamiya pack of sanders that come in sheets. There's about 5 sheets of that sort of size. And I cut bits off and I've just sanded them down. So that's nice and smooth now. I've got rid of that awful finish, which I really didn't like. And that is... ready. I've just seen I don't think I've done the roof yet. So I've partially done the roof. It still needs much more doing. But again, this is I don't know if it will stand out as much on the roof because it's had a bit done to it already. But that's the finish I don't like, that I'm trying to get rid of.
You can wet sand it.
It doesn't. Sorry?
What did you paint that with?
This on here is a black automotive. So just a black.
Because that's a lacquer paint.
Yeah.
You can wet sand that out.
Yeah, I have been wet sanding this. Yeah, it's nice and smooth, and it is slowly disappearing. So I'm getting there. I think the last thing I've done a lot of wet sanding, and then I put a spray over it again, because I thought I'd got rid of most of it, but then when it dried, I've got a couple of little blots on there from where I'd left it out in the garden. Obviously a bit of dust had blown on it or something. So, I'm getting there. It doesn't help that my extractor's buggered. So I've got to get a new extractor at some point, but I'm just not willing to pay the prices they're asking at the moment. So that's me. That's all I've done this week. There we go. Who's next?
What's on you, Mark?
Yeah, so who's going next? You? Did you say you, Josh?
I'll go next. Doesn't matter to me.
Yeah.
But so I got the parts in for the printer, so I printed out this guy. I don't know if he'll, but this guy.
Oh, that looks good.
My dad's going to be really, really happy with this one. And then I started priming the charger body, and I primed everything. I got as far as I could before the paint started drying in the airbrush. I did get the color for the canvas to come up.
Yeah.
So playing around with that, but that's as far as I've gotten this week. I didn't really have a whole lot of time. I finished, I got to get a couple more 3D prints that I've got commissioned done. But yeah, other than that, I haven't done a whole lot. Just that.
No. Been busy, with life or whatever.
Yeah, summertime is really hard to get to this bench.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll move on to Gil.
I have been. I finished a couple of commission bills. They went to their home yesterday, so did that. And I'm working on an NY3D Creations resin piece for my grandson. He's a big fan of Yoda, Baby Yoda. He loves him. The room is all covered in Yoda stuff. So I figured, I picked up a resin piece from Mike over at ny3dcreations.com, and I started painting it for him. I also did a kind of like a quick hit tutorial, on the painting that we could discuss that later if you want, or we can talk about it now.
Yeah.
But what I'm doing is it's called the Yodalorian, and let me see if I can do this because there's not so much of a. This is the head for him right here.
Oh, I like that.
And
that's quite big, isn't it?
What's that?
That's quite big.
Well, it's I don't know, about 1.5 inches, maybe.
What scale would that be?
This is a 1/8 scale.
I like that.
The chrome I used all clad. I don't know if you see that look to it.
Yeah.
I used a all clad, a holographic. Where is it at? Holomatic spectral chrome over a gloss black, and then I had to mask off the ears and all that. So there's the head. This is the body.
Can I just ask how much that chrome is that you bought there?
Well, I don't remember what I paid for it, but it can't be more than, I don't know, $4 or $5 for that. And I've used.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah, you see, it looks like water, right? You see that?
Yeah.
It looks clear, but when you shake it up, there's the chrome.
Yeah.
You know, it's a beautiful, and you know, this is your traditional chrome here. You can see it on the bottle there. And I didn't want to go with a traditional chrome. I wanted to go with something that had a little pop to it, you know. And let me see if I can get that. Oh, yeah, that's too bright. These lights are bright here.
Nice.
Let me see if I can. Nope, that's not going to help. Let me move that over a little bit. Yeah, see the lights here because I'm under a heavy light, but I don't know if you can see that shine, that rainbow effect on there.
Yeah,
it really looks good.
So I got that, and then and this guy, this is it comes with two heads. This is the second one right here. Now that's all airbrushed.
and that's the one that's in the tutorial, isn't it?
That's the one that's in the tutorial. The only thing that isn't airbrush are the eyes.
Yeah. So if people want to see how Gil does this, he does on YouTube. He's got a video. I'll let him tell you the details of where it is, but basically you can follow his direction with one of those and achieve similar results, hopefully.
Yeah, it's not difficult, guys. This is the way I do green, but I basically do the same thing that I used with different colors for my skin tones. And there's blue in there, there's red in there, there's tan in there. There's a couple of different there's a couple of different reds. There's where is it? This stuff right here, which is my I love this stuff, Drakenhof shade. Basically everything I have in front of me right there is what I used, you know. The gloss black, all clad, you know, there's Stino Res, you know, different shades of tan, greens, blue, red. But yeah, I did that all on a video. You can go check out Red Dragon Model Works with an EWREKS, and the video is up there. And you can take this method and you can basically do any kind of skin tone or any kind of airbrushing with it. I mean, it's not just for skin tone. You know, I mean, if you watch the way I do it, you'll see it. It went from, you know, just regular, you know, clear virgin resin all the way to this in about 45 minutes. So there's that. And that's about it, man. That's about what I've been up to.
So, Gil, I have a question before you get too far.
Just
oh, did he freeze?
That
Alclad stuff. How? Yeah. That Alclad stuff. Is that something you need to wear a mask with, no matter what, or?
Well, it's a lot.
Would you use it there at your bench, or would you use your extractor?
No, I sat right here and did it.
Okay.
But normally I would be at in the other room, my paint room, where everything's set up at. But for filming purposes, because I didn't have my laptop down here and I didn't have a camera connected to the laptop, I did it all here. And there was not a lot of overspray anywhere, you know. I didn't have a mask on because I was speaking. I would recommend you wear one with anything. I mean, if you're shooting anything, I don't care if it's acrylic or even dirty water, I would recommend you wear a mask because you're breathing that in. I don't care if you're shooting it through an airbrush. Oh, it's acrylic, it ain't gonna hurt me. It atomizes. You can see it around here. And when you're done, if you go to wipe everything down, you'll see it. Go blow your nose; it'll be Technicolor when it comes out. You know, so I would recommend wearing a mask, especially when you're shooting lacquers, you know, or urethanes or stuff like that. Yeah, wear a mask. But for the
Jeff has just joined.
I'm sorry.
Sorry, Gil. I thought you'd finished.
No, I was just saying for the purposes of that video, I didn't wear a mask. So
yeah. Excellent. So that leaves. So we're going to go to Gordon now. Just some of you may have noticed another face has popped up on the screen. This is Jeff Lovelace, who is I'm correct in saying you're the creator of the Paint Rack app, aren't I?
Yeah, there's two of us, Scott Reyes and myself. And
right, okay, yeah. So we'll come to you in a minute,
Sure.
Jeff. We're just having a look at what work we've all been doing this week. But we'll be with you in a second. So, Gordon, we're just going to come to you now.
Well, this great thing is what I've been working on this week.
Oh, wow. Ooh.
Nice.
And it's the 32nd scale Tornado GR1. I built this kit over 20 years ago when it first came out, and it's been knocking about. It got damaged and stuff, so I thought, if I could get some more decals, let's sand it back and give it a new lease of life. So that's what I've been doing. So this week, I've been working on the wings. And I've been doing all the oil staining, the streaking for the hydraulics, chipped paint, stains, footprints all down the fuselage and stuff, especially on that intake where the pilots were getting in and out.
Yeah,
all the way down.
Did you use when you done the footprints? Was it just did you do that by hand, or did you got a stencil?
I just used oil paint, Starship Filth, and some odorless thinners, some clay washes and stuff. I've used different things to do it, but I've been slowly working on it. The next job is to do underneath, because all this back end area from about the back of the undercarriage bay doors all the way back was really heavily stained, and access panels that are underneath where they came in and they were serviced and stuff. A few streaks and stains on the wings and stuff I've got to do, and then redo the bare metal areas on the back. I've already started in some places doing some of them, but I had a little bit of a disaster last weekend. I was telling Mark about it. I'd done all of this 3 weeks ago, and because it had stuck, because I'd been working on the Spitfire and stuff, it got a bit dusty. So I got my anti-static brush out and my microfiber cloth and wiped it down, only to find out that somebody had used my microfiber cloth for wiping the sides down with bleach.
Ooh.
So soon as I touched the paintwork and started to wipe it off and polish it off, it stripped all my weathering off. So I've had to redo it all again, but this time I learnt my lesson. So each time I put an effect on, it gets a quick dust over with a gloss coat to seal it in.
Learned his lesson. He shot his son.
Then I put the next one on and give that a quick mist coat and stuff, so it's starting to get quite shiny now. But I'll soon take care of that. But that's what I've been working on this week up to now. A little bit more to do. Then I can unmask all the cockpit, get the canopy finished, paint the ejector seats and stuff, and get all them put in and get it finished. So another few weeks yet, and that'll be done. So
brilliant.
That's what I'm working on.
Brilliant. It's really looking quite smart, actually. I know you've put a lot of time into this. When you think... carry on.
When the kit first came out, it was the first boxing that Revell did. And I built it. Yeah, it's got one or two fit issues and stuff, but nothing that you can't sort out. And I always like the look of it. And Saber says, from house move to house move, things got broken off, things got dinged, stuff got knocked off. And I thought, right, let's strip it back, and let's see if I can recycle an old kit. So that's what I've done, and I'm pleased with how it's coming out up to now. It's coming out better than it did first time I did it.
Yeah, and for anyone that's in the Sprue Surgery waiting room group, did you put some pictures up, Gordon, of what it looked like before?
Yeah, I've actually taken some more photographs of it today outside in the sunlight, so you can actually see it better. But I haven't had a chance to post them up in the Sprue Surgery, not yet.
Right, but there is a huge difference. It's excellent. So then, with a massive turn of events. Let me just bring up. So we're all back on the cameras again. Just give me a second. Is it that one? No, that one. That's better. Yes. So all of a sudden, Jeff's with us now, and it's so Jeff and his partner created Paint Rack. Now, I remember, was it always called Paint Rack, just out of curiosity? Because I remember it being called Paint Pad. Have I got that wrong? Is it always been Paint Rack?
No, it's always been Paint Rack. There is something out there called Paint Pad. That's something a little bit different.
Right. Well, we don't want to mention that
then. No, it's
avoid
fine.
Paint Pad. Okay, so I remember when I first came across Paint Rack. I was looking for something that helped me. It was very early on in my modeling, in my modeling career, if you like, and I just couldn't find. I was always stuck with. There were a couple of apps out there, but they didn't really do what I wanted, and I stumbled across Paint Rack, and I think it was quite early on. When Paint Rack had just started, because at the time you'd got Vallejo, Tamiya, and I think Revel was the other one. You'd really got a very limited library of those three.
Yeah, but when we started, actually, we only had 4 or 5. I think we had Citadel, Vallejo, and some others. And we slowly added as we went, mostly from feedback from users who said, well, I really like it, but I use this other line. And so now we have more than 40 brands in the app.
Yeah, and it's definitely, you cover everything now. It's amazing I just can't sell it enough. I always, whenever I go into groups or, people are asking about paints and things like that, I always say to them, you need Paint Rack. And sometimes they've heard of it or they've got it and they've maybe not used it to its full potential.
Right.
And there's so much to it that people, I don't think, realize a lot of the time. And we're going to cover that, but I just want to go back to the beginning very quickly and ask you, first of all, are you a modeler?
So I personally, years ago, played Warhammer 40,000, second edition, which is the 90s, a long time ago. And then Scott's a bit older than me, and he played in the same era, but he was more into, he's a technical artist, so he's both on the art side and the technical side, and he was really into it in his younger years in terms of the painting of the figurines, and he actually won the Golden Demon Award at one point, which is the Citadel, or the Games Workshop painting award for some Eldar he had painted. And so he still maintains, I think he plays Infinity and stuff like that now. But he's still a very, very good painter. And sometimes paints things mostly for his friends. So the way we got started actually was we used to work together. on her day job. And I apologize for the noise. I live right.
No, that's fine. That's fine. We've got dogs here.
But we used to work together, and we were talking, and we were on sort of tangential teams. And we sort of learned we both like board games, and we both like tabletop stuff. And he said, "You know what? I've never found a good app for tracking my paint collection." And he has quite a variety of paint lines and stuff that he uses. And, I'm a software engineer. He's a technical artist. And so we said, well, what if we made something? And we spent months, I don't know how many months, 9 months maybe off and on, working on it, trying to play with ideas, trying to play with layouts, trying to play with flows, trying to make it as straightforward as possible. And I think it was 2015, when we launched originally. And that was our first foray, and that was on Android, of course. And we just finally launched our iOS one a month ago. So it's now on iOS as well.
Now that you said that, I remember having this on my Galaxy Note.
Yeah.
A while back. Yeah, I did. I have an iPhone now, and when I remember this. I had it on my phone once before.
Yeah, so we learned a lot from Android, and we've evolved the app significantly. It's much different, much better than it was in the early days. And to be honest, it's largely based on feedback from users. One of the first feedback pieces we got when we first posted online about it was, I like the idea, but it's really hard to add my paint collection, especially if you have 200 paints or whatever. I've been, one thing I learned about, because, when I was younger and played Warhammer, I had 40 bottles maybe. But then I see people who post and they have closets full. I'm very impressed. So they said, well, it's too hard. And that one person suggested was, well, there's a concept in the app Goodreads, which you've ever used, which is for tracking your books. And you can do rapid scan, which lets you hold up your book barcodes and go boop, boop, boop. And so, we implemented that feature, for instance. One person emailed in and said, I like the color tools. And for those who may not be aware, we have this feature called Color Tools, which allows you to find matches or complementary colors or triadic colors and so on across manufacturers.
All the time.
Yeah. And they said, well, it's great, except I don't know, you say this is the closest match, but what does that mean? It'd be really great if you visualized the distance. And so at some point we added a new feature where if you go to the action bar at the top, there's a number in a circle. You click on it and it shows distances if you want to see them. And so closer to 0, the better it is. So that was another feature that was directly suggested by a user. We've evolved it a lot, and it's gotten better and better. And of course, iPhone users were batting down our doors, saying, please, God, bring it to iOS. And so we finally did. And so far, so good on the iOS side. Hopefully the iOS users are happy with it.
Well, I'm playing with it now, so let's see.
It's an incredible app. I love it. As I've said, I use it all the time because, so prime example, I've got maybe, I would say, a decent paint collection. I haven't got an epic one like some others in here, but I've got a decent paint collection. But what I struggle with is, because there's so many greys, when you're painting a jet, you can't say it's just grey. Yeah. There are so many different types of grey, and I've got a lot of greys, but I haven't got them all. And what I love is with Paint Rack. So you put in the grey that the app recommends. The instructions say you need this type of grey, and you haven't got it, but you've got a load of others. So then you scroll up and you have a look, and it says this is the closest match, and it might be a Tamiya one, a Vallejo one, and you can see it on the screen, and you can compare it. You can compare like a swatch of the two, and you can say, yeah, that's very close. And you look at it, and immediately, without having to go to the shelves, you know whether you've got it. If you've kept up with your, if you keep updating your Paint app, whenever you buy new stuff, and as it goes out, you take it off the stock, you'll know just looking whether you've got it or not, or whether you need it. I love it.
Exactly.
The only thing I because I would think, so if you could have it sounds a bit far, but if you could have like half bottles, so
half bottles, yeah,
so if you could say, because at the moment it just tells you whether you've got a bottle,
right?
But you can go to that bottle and find out that it's half full, and you really need to buy another one. That would be great. That's my answer.
So all that kind of suggestions. So we have a feedback button in the app, and it launches your email to send us an email, and we read all of those. And if you have a particular suggestion, we actually maintain voting for features, so we know what the most popular requests are. And so that one I've definitely heard before. It's a good idea. It's a little tricky because we allow you to track multiple bottles. So, what do you do if they have 4 of the same, which is common, and they say, well, one is at 30% and one is at 80%. So how do you differentiate? So there's trickiness there. So that's but it is a very good idea, and one day maybe we'll have something figured out.
I think that's definitely a good one for the future.
Yeah.
So I mean, obviously using Paint Rack, you must, because there's so many paints out there now, and there's so many new manufacturers popping up all the time.
Right.
And I know that Paint Rack uses a system whereas they ask which paint do you want to see next?
Right, the feedback,
Yeah. And obviously you've got some sort of system there, whereas the most people, the most popular paint comes up next.
Yeah, it's some combination. I was going to say it's some combination of like, what is the most popular? We sort of, if 1 or 2 people are asking for something, we probably won't worry about it quite yet. But if we get up to 30 or more, then we know there's a lot of demand. And then it comes down to how easy is it to get the data? Because to be honest, the trickiest thing is getting the barcode information, because we allow you to scan your paints in. And that sometimes is hard to get. So, if it's something easy where they have a very good, PDF of their colors and they have their barcode things, like for instance, Reaper here in the US in Texas, they have a store spreadsheet you can download, which has all their barcodes. So that makes it very easy.
Yeah.
And then, it's really how easy it is to work with a manufacturer. Because in the vast majority of cases, we reach out to them directly and say, we have a lot of demand to add your paints. Is that cool? And they do help us out. They send us data because, of course, they want to promote their own paints. And it makes sense for them. So it comes down to that. And so for instance, right now, I think the most requested thing is definitely golden. I think they're based out of New York State here in the U.S. And
I've never heard of those. Gil, is that one you've heard of?
Yeah, I use them a lot. I have them right there. There's golden there. There's golden over here. Yeah, I use a lot of them.
Yeah, so that's one we're on our horizon, hopefully soon. I think they're primarily targeted at artists, not for modeling per se, but a lot of people are using them for their models, and that's a common request. They have different. They have a high flow. They have a heavy.
The heavy medium, yeah.
Heavy medium, yep. So those are like the main lines that I think the painters are using. Mm-hmm. And we went to Scott and I went to ReaperCon last year. That's Reaper. They're sort of near Dallas, so it's about a 3-hour drive for us. And we talked to a lot of artists there, and that was their number one request. Was they wanted golden added. So that's basically how we do it. And to be honest, it's a very manual process. So we're sampling off of the things provided by the manufacturer. We have this very detailed spreadsheet where we enter all the information. A bunch of calculations go into it to calculate HSV and LAB values of color.
So how, if you don't mind me asking, how do you, because I'm looking at the app here, and how are you matching those little circles? How are you matching that color? I mean, is that true, or is that an approximation of the color?
Well, it's always going to be approximation.
Okay.
There's not really a good way to solve that because generally what we've done is we just take the sample that's provided by the vendor. Mm-hmm. Like Vallejo will they have a PDF with all their colors, and we'll just sample off the PDF. So that's already their approximation of their color. Sometimes they have photos of paint swatches, and so we have to sample off the photo, and so that's a little bit of a judgment call. You catch the wrong spot or whatever, and it's too light or too dark, and so it's a little tricky, right? Because nothing is perfect. And then on top of that, to be honest, one thing that's really tricky is the screens themselves. So an example of something that's kind of bad is often Samsung phones. They don't have accurate color representation.
Right.
They like to make their colors very vivid and bright because it looks nice on the screen. Yeah. But that's not actually what it looks like. Whereas like a Google Pixel phone is very accurate. So that's the kind of examples. I'm not sure how the iOS devices compare.
That was actually going to be one of my questions, because I was about to say that Samsung have got the OLED. I've got the AMOLED. Is it the AMOLED screens?
Yeah. And
you do have, when you go into Samsung and set your screen up, you've got these 4 different, and you can have like vibrancy, cinema, game, and you can see an actual change in the colors.
Right.
So red suddenly becomes bright red.
Right.
And obviously with an app like yours, that will, change the colors slightly. So I see what you're getting at.
Right.
But at the same time,
that doesn't affect the calculation. That only affects what you see visually on the screen.
Yeah, because I'm looking, I have a flat brown right in front of me from Vallejo.
Right.
And I'm looking at the flat brown, the SKU 70.984.
Uh-huh.
And you're pretty close.
Yeah, we try. I mean, it's also possible that we fat finger something, and that happens sometimes.
No, it's not bad. It's almost there. I mean, but then again, when you're using an app, I mean, people have to understand, you're going to get a slight variation of that.
Yeah.
But that color right there is almost, I don't know if you can see that. It's almost, my lights are, sorry about that. My lights are blasting off of the damn thing. But they're pretty darn close.
Yeah, it's a pretty good approximation. So when we do the color tools, that's kind of why we give you like the 5 closest. So we show you these are the 5 closest matches in Vallejo or Reaper or Citadel or whatever. And so we are basically saying like, we know this is approximation, but like eyeball it and see which one looks good to you. Mm-hmm. And then the background color is the original source color, so you can see the swatch on your other one and see how close it looks like. So and even the other thing is also, I think even between batches, it's possible of paint there are going to be variations.
Yeah, that's always going to happen. Yeah.
And the other thing, one person once wrote that they felt like the paint rack was closer to the wet version of the color, and once it dries, it shifts a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Again, sort of based on the manufacturer provided colors. So if they're doing it based on wet color as well, hard to do anything about that.
Like right in front of me again, because I use a lot of different paints. I have the Citadel, the Moot Green right here.
Yeah.
And there's these lights. I'm sorry, guys. It's just, it's blasting here.
Right.
But yeah, it's pretty close.
Yeah.
It's I'm looking right at it. I mean, it looks darker in the bottle, but once I lay it out, I know that that's that color.
Right.
So yeah, it's really good.
And in terms of the actual matching or correlations, I think a lot of people, I know there's like on the DACA forums and stuff like that, they have spreadsheets where they say, okay, this is equivalent to this and so on and so forth. And there's someone's manually maintaining those lists. So that would be too much work to maintain because we have over 13,000 bottles now in the app.
Yeah.
And so we early on were just like, well, how do you actually calculate that? Like, what's considered a match? And we went through a couple of variations. One was we just looked at. I think we started with we did HSV matching, and there's like different ways of approaching color matching. We learned. But you have your hue, your saturation, your value, and so we basically said, okay, try to match on hue closest, then saturation, then value.
Right.
That kind of works, but you get into messiness, especially with grays and browns and stuff.
Yes. Yeah.
And so I discovered that there's sort of academic work in terms of what does a color match actually mean, and they describe it as saying, how do you say how close this green is to black? Like, what does that mean? Like, that's conceptually difficult to think in our heads. And so they've created these different metrics, and the latest one is, I don't actually know how you say it, but it's like CIEDE 2000.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a way of trying to map the way colors look in the human eyeball.
I was just about to say that because everybody sees color differently.
Yeah, that's another thing. Yeah.
We all see it differently. So I can show you this mood green, tell you it's a light green, and somebody will tell me, well, that's a little darker. I've had that happen.
Yeah. I mean, that's another thing. Yeah. But in this case, they're just like, well, it's not a linear relationship. So it's not like you're just, if you think of HSV as just like 3 dimensions, it's not quite accurate. And so they have this like non-linear map. You can look on Wikipedia and see it. But ultimately, they created an algorithm, and we just use that algorithm from the paper.
There you go.
And so we basically take the source color, and we break it into the form it needs, and then we run it through we run it through all the paints you have not filtered out, basically, from the app. So if you say, oh, if I never use Vallejo, or I never use this subset of Vallejo, then we don't try those ones. But the rest of them, we just run it through and we say, okay, these are the best 5.
Right.
And we show them to you. And then if you have the distance thing on, we show you, okay, well, this one is 4 distance in this CIDE methodology. And this one's like 30. So clearly the 30 is not nearly as good.
Right. Now you have a free version and a paid version. Am I correct?
Yeah. So back in the day, if you're an Android user, you may remember a lot of people had like a free version and a pro version of their apps. We decided to combine it.
I've got the pro, I think.
Yeah, we decided to combine it right off the start, and so it's free to download, and you can track your whole paint collection for free. All the 13,000, almost 14,000 paints now. But then the pro features, quote unquote, are like color tools, and then we have the sets feature, which lets you remember your recipes for all your models, and stuff like that. Yeah.
Which is what I was on about. Normally, when I'm talking to people about it, I'll say about the sets. And the other thing that I love about it is if you're doing a diorama or you're trying to make something visually appealing, you actually have the ability on your thing to you pick a color, and then anyone that's done photography or anything with colors will know about the color wheel. And you've got like what is the best color to match?
You try
not match that color, but what's the best color that goes with that color? Am I making any sense? I know what I'm.
Your triadic, yeah.
Yeah. So, and I've used that a few times. So, you know, the colors either side, if I remember rightly, the colors either side don't go well together, but the ones, have I got that right?
Yeah, you have like I've got one in front of me here. You have your complementary, your split complementary, your triads, you know, all that stuff, and then if you go on the back, you have, you know, different ones. So there's your color wheel. Your color
yeah.
Wheel. It just
and that's in the app.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I mean,
basically, what we're doing is you're saying, okay, this is my source color. I have this Reaper Fire Orange, for instance. And you say, I want to know what the complementary color is. And so we calculate a direct complementary color under the hood. And then we say, okay, what are the closest ones to that complementary color? And then, you know, for instance, if you turn on only show my paints, then it'll filter and it'll show you the closest ones in your collection. Mm-hmm. So you'll know, do I have something close enough? And if you don't find something close enough, I would say generally like under like a 7 or under an 8 is like a pretty good match.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go ahead and do that because these guys give me shit all the time. I've probably got about 600 paints here.
That's impressive.
And then when I'm looking for a color, I mean that's just a part of it. And then there's there under here and over there and in the next room over there. So when you're looking for a color, you're just standing there staring at them.
Right. Right.
Yeah. So this, I can see how this will work for people.
Right. And then the sets, I think people who do commission painting especially like it because, you know, they might do half a dozen models for commission, and then that person comes back to them a year later and says, okay, I want to add this tank and these other squad or whatever.
In that same color, yeah.
In that same color. And they just open it up and they say, okay, I know exactly what I used, 12 months ago. And so that's very useful for you. And then the other thing is like in Color Tools, you don't have to use an actual paint as a source. You can punch in your hex value if you know a specific hex value you want to use and find it like for a match, for instance. And then in Android, I'm still working on the iOS version, but on Android, you can also use your camera. And you can, you know, if you're looking at someone's model or even a picture, you can use your camera and say, okay, what is that color? And it samples the color pixel.
Now you're going to bring that to the
iOS? I love that as well.
Yeah, that was the one feature we didn't have time to finish on iOS, and I'm like 90% done doing it now.
I know a lot of people that'll they'd love that, you know.
Yeah. So we knew that was a shortcoming of the iOS initially, but we figured, hey, you get 95% of it now instead of waiting another month or something. Right. And so that'll be done soon, and I'm intending on that to be in the next. Well,
that's
release.
always evolution with it. I mean, you're always
exactly.
Yeah. So it's not a static app; it's always evolving. Yeah,
it's always evolving. Yeah, and so. And another thing we want to add, probably won't be the next release, but it'll be in some near future one, is a lot of people want to be able to sample off of an image because you go to Instagram or something, you see someone's really awesome model, and you want to know what is that color.
Oh God, I get that all the time. Yeah.
And so that's definitely near the top of our list for future updates. And another thing, for instance, that probably will be the next release is adding pigment support, because we didn't have that before.
Oh, that'd be nice. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I didn't realize that. We were laughing because we posted something on Facebook and later on Twitter about, what we were playing with. For those who may not be aware, the way the paints are represented is they're little circles and paint swatches, as kind of simulating like looking at bottles from above. That's kind of the idea. And if you have the bottle, it's filled in, and if you don't, it's hollow. but then we wanted to visually differentiate them. And so if it's a normal paint, it's like a solid color. If it's metallic, it has like the metallic strip, like a reflection. Washes have like a fade between white and the color. And so then we were trying to play with visualizations of like, how can we differentiate pigments? And so we came up with something where we have we apply a mask of dark and white spots, so it looks very powdery on top. And that'll be what we'll use. That way it looks like powder, even if it's a dark black or a white. And it was funny because we posted about that. We just like a screenshot of what we were playing with, and that's probably our most liked stuff ever on social media. More than iOS, more than any of that. People were gaga for it. So look for that soon.
I've been following that because that was one of the things I was interested in, the pigments.
Yeah,
and you're now covering that. Another thing I wanted to bring up was the fact that normally when you get apps come out, you find these little faults with them, and you get in touch with the manufacturer maybe or whoever, and you say, "There's, I found this error," and you just never hear anything back. Nothing ever gets done, and it's almost like nobody cares. I know from a fact that I've contacted. I don't know who it is I contact, but there's a facility on Paint. If you come across an error, and occasionally there are errors, we'll all admit that. You just press this button and it takes you, and you just write a message. I think I've done it about 3 times.
Yep.
And how many paints did you say you've got? I've done 3 times over thousands of paints, and I've literally got an answer within sometimes hours. Thank you for letting us know. As soon as the next update comes out, we'll correct it. And then not only that, but when the next update comes out, I get another message. It's been corrected, and that's great. The feeling that you've helped.
Yeah, it's very helpful. Occasionally we'll get reviews on Android, on Google Play or something that say, "Oh, you're missing this or something," and I always reply and just say, "Please, just send us an email." And especially if there's a missing bottle, send us an email through the feedback button in the app, and then just attach the picture of the front of the bottle so we can see the name, and then the back with the barcode, and then we can easily add it the next update. And we've been updating every 4 to 8 weeks or so, pretty consistently. So, I know we've gotten emails from you. I do remember those, and I think I've gotten them all in. And then I try to go back and reply to people and tell them, like you said, when we get their fixes in. I can't promise that'll always happen, but especially
it's just nice. It's nice that there's somebody that actually. It just seems that you care that what
I do.
People are saying. That's wrong. We'll get it put right.
For some,
and it's brilliant. I love it.
I'm sorry. I was trying to pull up on my Mac here your app, but it won't let me pull it up on the Mac. But I got it on my phone.
I think that's an Apple thing.
Yeah, that was my next question.
Yeah, I mean, I was trying to pull it up on here so we could show people the app, but for some reason it's not letting me. I can't find it on my Mac, but I have it on my.
Yeah, if you Google search Paint Rack App Store, Paint Rack is one word.
Yeah,
it'll find the App Store page.
I've got.
I got it up. If you want to show it, Mark, so people can see what it looks like.
I just wanted to just very quickly, just to show that was my next question about Paint Rack being on Windows 10. I can't seem to find it on Windows 10.
It's not currently on Windows 10. We probably would do a web version before that, just because that would be more stuff.
Yeah, there it is right there.
Yeah, so that's our website. Courageous Octopus is our fun name for our company.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, there's a link. If you click on those, either of the Google Play or the App Store, it'll take you to the actual App Store for the appropriate thing. And
wow.
Yeah, it's right there.
You're on fire.
Yeah,
that was my next question as well about Courageous Octopus.
Yeah, there's like you were talking about.
Yeah, that's a fun name. Sorry, go ahead.
No. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, I was just going to say, well, basically Scott and I had the idea for the app, and then we were, well into working on it. And we just had lunch one day and said, oh, we need to come up with a name for a company to form an LLC or whatever in the US here. And I just said, well, let's put two funny words together, basically. And so we made Courageous Octopus. And we have that little octopus with punching gloves on, boxing gloves. So, yeah, we call him Rocky Octo. It's like Rocky the movie. So that's just our fun company name. And currently we're just doing Paint Rack, but we have other ideas. So we'll see if one day we do something else. I had a lot of requests, or not a lot, but I've had some requests. People honestly want a model tracker. I don't know how you guys feel about that, but I think a common problem is people buy a lot of kits and then they lose them. Like they're somewhere in their house or drawer, and they like to know where they are or what state they're in. That's one thing.
Yeah, there's quite a few of them out there right now. But
yeah, we've had a guy on previously that done like a model tracker. You've also got what's the one everybody uses online, the shop.
I can't remember the name of it.
I can't remember. I mean, there's potential there if you can do something, different.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how. I mean, I'll leave that to the professionals, but there is potential there.
You're on about scale mates, Mark?
Yeah, scale mates.
Yes,
scale mates.
Yeah.
And we have other ideas. I mean, we've talked about, in terms of Paint Rack stuff, we've talked about it'd be great if it was a little more social. So, it'd be nice if you have your set and then you could say, click a button and generate a link. And so if you're on your forum or whatever, and someone's like, oh, I love your model. What did you use for it? Right now, there's a share button. And if you click the share button, it basically walks through your set and copies out the names of all the paints you use. And you can paste that. Yeah, you can paste that in to a forum or wherever you're posting. But it would be nice if it was just a link and you could click on it and it would take you to a website and just have your model there.
Right.
So that's something we talked about a little bit. We'll see where that goes. But
am I correct? You've also got a link where you can, when you're building a model, you can list the paints that are in that model. So you go through, I put all these paints down that I need, and then it will go through and you can see straight away the ones you need and you can order them. Am I right?
Well, we basically added Amazon links. So,
all right.
Yeah, if you want to, you can order from Amazon through the app. So it's not super smart, but it is helpful, and people do order paints through it, depending on which country you're in. So we have links to Amazon UK and Canada and the US and Germany and such in there.
Cool.
Can I ask? It may seem, I don't know whether people will find this a stupid question or not. How far would we be from an app where you could just scan a kit and immediately it would look at the paints you've got and tell you straight away you haven't got this, this, and this.
So in that, you're scanning like a Warhammer model or something, and you know what paints you need, or
yeah. So you buy your kit, whether it's Warhammer, Revel, or whatever. So it's going to be a huge database. I'm aware of that. But you could scan it, and it will say, for example, oh, you haven't got the gloss black, the white, the orange, and the green that you need.
I don't know if that's hard per se. It's just a lot of busy work, because you'd have to say, okay, well, how do you know what paints are associated with a box, right? So you either get a source of data for that, like I mean, maybe Revel or equivalent would give it to you through some feed. Otherwise, you're manually entering it, and so we do a lot of manual entry just to maintain the paint collection. And one thing that has been suggested to us before, and is a very good idea, but it'd be very difficult, is, I want to scan I buy a box set of paints. For instance, I don't know if you guys use Army Painter, but Army Painter sells like 100 or something in a go in their ultimate set. And it'd be nice to just scan the barcode of the box and just, add your entire all 100.
Yeah, that would be great.
It's a really good idea. It's just that we'd have to, know every paint, every collection, every manufacturer. So that's like another whole layer of data. One thing that Scott and I have talked about, which might be interesting, is sourcing that information from the public. So I'm not sure exactly how that would look, but if you can imagine, people could make submissions and say, okay, well, this Citadel box set has these paints, and this Army Painter box set has these paints, and this Reaper has these paints. And we could just quickly review it, and then if it's all okay, bring it into the app somehow easily. That's something we've talked about too. But currently it's all manual on our end.
That's cool, man. We appreciate you coming in, man. I mean, it was great talking to you.
It was great talking to you guys. For sure.
Thank you very much.
If you ever have any feedback to anyone watching, or you guys too, of course, just send us an email, feedback@courageousoctopus.com. We're on Twitter @courageousocto. Facebook, we maintain the Paint Rack page on Facebook. Mm-hmm. And so we're always releasing new stuff. Come check it out.
Yeah, there it is, guys. You guys want. There it is right there. There's the app by Courageous Octopus. Sorry about that.
Octopus.
There's the app.
And it is.
You can get it on the App Store or on Google Play. It's not bad. I mean, I can see a bunch of uses for it. Yes, definitely.
I honestly can't recommend it enough. And there is a pro version, which I really think is worth the money. There's a lot of these apps come out where they have a pro version and they have a free basic version, but and normally you just get rid of adverts with the pro version. But no, I really recommend this. It's been a favorite of mine. I don't know. I can't remember when it was I joined, but it's. I mean, I don't know Jeff at all. We've just spoken over emails, so that, I just think it's a great bit of kit, and I think that I'd always try and push good items to do with the hobby, because it's all about improving the hobby. And this is definitely a good one. And
the pro version is $5 US, one-time fee, no ongoing fees. And our thinking is basically, well, if we save you from buying an extra bottle once, we've basically saved you the equivalent of money, right?
Yeah, that's me. Yeah.
So if you go to the store and you bring up your wish list, which is a feature of the app, and well, I don't actually need this paint, and you walk away, well, we've made you your money back. So.
I got You're going in there saying, I need this color, and I come home and I got 5 models of it.
Yeah. Well, it was great talking to you guys. I hope you have a great rest of your night. Bye, everybody watching.
Excellent.
You take
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Jeff. Thanks for popping in.
Okay. Bye.
Bye. He could have stayed. I don't know why he.
I don't know why he left.
No.
I think the only reason I did that, I think he was starting to struggle about how much more he could say, you know.
Yeah, I mean, my questions had finished, and it was really eerie because just before every question I'd got coming up, I could go through them now and show you. He mentioned it moments before I was about to say it. It was rather eerie.
Yeah.
Brilliant app. Really nice guy as well. So yeah, if you want something to track all your paints, Paint Rack. There we go. I think we've probably got time just to maybe have a quick look at some work that we have looked at during the week. So this is the section of the podcast where we look at, we've been through the internet and we've had a look at various models that have been built, and something's maybe caught our eye, and we really like it. So again, I'm going to go first this time, and because I've got everything ready, so I'm just going to share my screen. There we go. Just bring that up. And my first one is it's not so much a build, but it's a funny picture that came up. Well, it's not funny, but it just, these guys jet washing this jet. It was taken on the Scale Models critique group, and I just thought it was really funny. These guys jet washing this jet. I would really love to make a little kit, little diorama based on that. I think it would look great. I don't know what you guys think of that, but I love it. I think it's brilliant. So for my second picture, I found this. I was looking, and I found this seat. And we all love to build, those of us that do a lot of planes, area where we take particular pride. It's an area of the kit which everybody sees, and we really do put out, well, I do, and I'm sure Gordon agrees with me, that people really, they put their all into the seat. If the seat looks naff, then you lose all heart with the rest of the kit, basically. And that is, if you just consider the amount of effort that's gone into the shading, and the work on the belts, and this is PK Productions. I don't know, I can't remember where I picked this one up, but there's 3 photos in total. You got the next one there, and then finally you've got a similar one there, and I've got just one more, and that is, if I can just find it, here we go. I found this, and this is my favorite one of the lot. Look at the work on this. This is a breech block mechanism off a gun. It's on Drastics plastic scale modeling. And look at the weathering on that.
It's nice, beautiful.
That is incredible. I think it's only the 3. No, there's a few more. I've worked on machines of this sort of age, and that it looks perfect. It's absolutely perfect. The level of weathering on it. Stunning. It really is.
Yeah, beautiful piece of work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's by a chap called Marcelo Noin on Drastic Plastic Scale Modeling. I'm just going to give it a like. I'm going to give it a, because I do actually love that. I think that's great. And that's me. That's mine done. So I'm just going to back out now. Who wants to go next?
Yeah, what do you got, Josh?
You ready?
Yep.
Just bear with me, Josh, while I bring your screen up. There you are.
It show it yet?
Yeah. Look
Yeah.
at
Here, I'll play it.
Oh, wow.
Isn't that cool?
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is another one of those from that Ever, and I know I'm saying the name wrong, but Ever Metals, Ever Figure Painting, or whatever it is. Really cool group. I go in there and it's like I don't want to touch a model for like figure for like 3 weeks after that.
No, I've never seen that. Eva Models, do you say?
I'll show the page. I'll show the page here in a second.
Yeah, it's beautiful work.
Here, let's exit out. Come on. Oh, what the heck? All right, let's do it this way. Oh, I don't know what happened. Oops.
Oh,
Yeah, it's
It's because I'm streaming and then I got another page up. It's just gonna.
yeah. It can get a bit complicated when you start opening multiple windows.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. Here. Let me see if I can. Oh, what the heck? No, it's being dumb. It's just not working. But yeah, that's the figure I was going to show.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, so Eva Models. So, Gordon, Gordon's got a. Rather than a picture, he's got a shout out that he wants to give.
Yeah, I don't know if you'd be able to find it on YouTube, Mark. It's RW Hobbies, and it's a guy called Richie. And what caught my eye was his 1/32 scale MiG-29 SMT that he built. And he put some of the photos up on Phil Flores' site. And I found his YouTube channel, and the finish and weathering that he's got on that MiG-29 is outstanding. It's just amazing. So I don't know whether you can find it, Mark, and share it.
I am looking for it right now. RW Models, did you say?
RW Hobbies.
RW Hobbies. I've got an RW Models. Bear with me. All right, okay. I have found a RW Hobbies. Is it in England?
No, he's a guy in America. He's an English
right.
guy.
Gemini Jets.
Yeah, he's got them in it. Let me see if I can.
Does he do die cast?
what's the YouTube page again?
RW Hobbies.
If it's just
Got it.
bear with me.
I got it.
Who's got it?
I got it. Which one are you talking about? The
Okay.
MiG? The MiG 29?
Yeah, the MiG-29 SMT, the 32nd scale one.
I got it here. Give me a second. I'll stream it. There it is.
All right, there
Let
we
me-
go.
There it is right there. You see it, Mark?
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
it.
I've got it. Yep.
That's it. Yeah, he's done a build thread of it from opening the box to basically finishing it, right? And the still photographs, I think, that he's got at the end of his final reveal, right? The fading, the stains and stuff that he's done on it is out of this world. It's fantastic.
Yeah, look at that.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
yeah.
But it almost, the paint looks like it's been bleached by the sun. Yeah, that's all airbrush work.
Nice work.
Amazing.
But yeah, I saw the photographs that he put up on the Florist site and stuff. So I went and found his YouTube page, and I've watched his build of that kit and his techniques for doing the painting and the weathering, the fading, the staining, and everything on it. They are. I knew there was some in there somewhere.
Excellent. Really nice work.
Yeah, that's amazing. That is. Yeah. See, look at that underneath.
Yeah, some nice work.
Yeah, that's what I thought was worthy of a shout out.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm on more YouTube than I am on Facebook anyway.
Yeah. So Gil, what about you? If you
Okay, I found this guy right here. And here, let me find out. Let me show you where I found it. Give me a second here, because that video was playing havoc on my computer here. This guy right here, Anton Pryakin. It's
all right.
work in progress. Look at that. And I found it here at Miniature Painting Tips and Tricks, Showcases, and Share Your Secrets. But let me pop. Look at that. Look at that.
Nice.
That is amazing work.
Yeah, that is.
That's a little guy.
Wow, that's not a CAD drawing. That's actually
No, that's painted. That's a painting. I mean, he painted.
Christ, I thought that was an actual CAD drawing.
No, that's his figure right here.
Wow.
Yeah, let me. That's you see the cork down there. It's a nice piece, beautiful piece, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Love the shading in there, the non-metal metallic. Beautiful work, just phenomenal work.
Yeah.
So that's what I got.
So Josh.
He showed the one. He was first.
Oh, sorry. Well, sorry. My apologies. So that's everyone done. I just want to thank everyone for popping in tonight. It's been a really good show. I've really enjoyed it. We learnt a lot about the Paint Rack app. We got to look at some marvelous pieces. And it's been really good fun. It's really been enjoyable. And that's what we're trying to promote with the hobby.
Mm-hmm.
Get more people involved, have a good time, and enjoy ourselves in the process. If you've enjoyed this, then give us a thumbs up and click your bell notification so that you get a notification the next time we're on, which is every Sunday around about 6:45 to 7 o'clock. Thanks for watching, and until next week, it's bye from me.
Good night, guys.
Good night, everyone.
Bye.
We're here in the States. Good afternoon.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's a good night here. It's good morning there, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's 2:30 in the afternoon here where I'm at in Chicago. So
Wow, yeah, I always forget about that. I've got it on my clocks here. I've got 2 clocks,
Yeah.
And one's it says 12:35. I think that's Josh,
Yeah, that'd be me. It's lunchtime.
yep.
and the other one's
Mid-
Gordon's
yeah.
time.
And
Not Gordon's time.
Central Standard Time is I'm 6 hours behind you.
Yeah, so you're 2:36.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay. Now we've had that clarification on time. What is it? The time after the tone will be 2:36
Yeah.
and 3 seconds.
See you next week, guys.
You guys have a good one.